And we are live for the First Strike podcast. Is your host, KYT, and we're joined by a very, very awesome crew tonight. Once again, this show is brought to you by the good folks at FaceToFaceGames.com, the number one place to get your Magic the Gathering singles. And again, we've been having some weekly promotions, and this week you get 40% trade bonus, meaning that if you just go on online, search for cards that you want to sell us, instead of getting the usual 25%, you get 40%. And if you're going to GP Montreal, that promotion is lasting until then, this upcoming weekend. So you can go to our booth, sell us your stuff, and get 40% instead of 25%. So a perfect time for you to rummage through your rares, your mythics, stuff that you don't use. Come, trade into store credit, and buy some of the newer stuff that you might need from Guilds of Ravnica. So definitely take advantage of that, and make sure you like the Face to Face Games Facebook page, because there's always a $50 giveaway contest that's attached to the weekly promotion. Tonight, we got my man, Shaheen Surani, back in the show. And it's important that we plug Face to Face Games a lot, because this guy is now part of the official Face to Face Games Pro Tour team. How's it going, my man?
Woo! Yeah, man. I'm excited. I've actually secretly been like way more pro-Canadian than American anyway. So, just it's time to, shed the skin and just join you guys. So, dream come true, baby.
Definitely. We talk. Let's get this part over with quickly. I wanted your insight as someone that's been on the Pro Tour. We could speculate and give our thoughts about what Jerry's protest meant at Worlds, but you're someone who's actively been on the tour. You actively feel the impact of different things. You're friends with BBD, who Jerry has used as an example. Myself, I've used as an example that, like, when he won the World Champion, didn't seem like Wizards pushed him enough, and I felt like they should have and could have. And so I wanted your perspective on Jerry's protest and how you felt about it all.
I mean, it's a lot of the stuff that I think has been said kind of, by 99% of the pros out there, that, it's what he's doing will only better the game. There's very little negative repercussion to come from that, or, reverberation from WotC or anybody. Like, he's basically, taken action where a lot of us have just said words, and that's kind of, it takes guts, and it takes, at face value, he'll probably make a lot more money off this protest than he would have played in the Worlds anyway. But, at face value, you are sacrificing a lot of your, livelihood to do something like that. So, I've seen Jerry really transform from when I first met him years ago to somebody who wants to really change the game for good. So I think this is just, I want to say I'm shocked by what he did, but, it kind of fits his character and what he's become. Something I wouldn't have done personally. It's something that a lot of people wouldn't have done personally for themselves, but, he's someone's got to do it first. So maybe he'll open the door for people to actually actively protest a little bit more. I do want to say, though, the other side of that, I'm actually pretty pro WotC, where that's kind of unpopular these days. I'm pro the game. I'm pro the company. I think that I've played games from Fantasy Flight and other games where the organized play is atrocious. There's a reason why millions and millions and millions of people play this game, and it's not just because of the mechanics of Magic. I think they've promoted their product brilliantly throughout the years. I think that they do a lot of things good. And I think everything they do, minus like a few faux pas here and there, are calculated, and maybe we don't get the full picture of why they do it. I mean, obviously there are some busts, like the Silver Showcase. I think was a pretty horrific, pitfall for them. But, I just think that for a group that has 20,000 decisions to make every month, I think that they're doing fine. And I would cautious just everybody, and I would say the vast majority of social media is just like, WotC sucks, WotC sucks. What are they doing? They're terrible. They're stupid. And it gets kind of old after a while, because it's just not true. People like to complain. So that's actually how I feel at the end of the day. I respect Jerry for his choice, but I think that the heat they get is really unwarranted a lot of time.
Did you get the chance to catch any of the World's coverage?
The World's coverage was happening the same weekend as the Open, where I was fighting for my life every round because I haven't played any Legacy and, and never played Grixis before. So I was playing to the round pretty much every round. So I didn't get to see a whole lot of it. I saw very little bit. I saw some recaps. You know, obviously when there's a DQ, I had to go watch, see what happened there. You know, because that's the drama fun part of it all. But yeah, I saw some misspellings on jackets, and I see all the good stuff, but I didn't see, as far as coverage goes, I didn't really see a whole lot. Old Standard, and again, like I said, out of all the decisions that Wizards had, there's mistakes to be made. They probably had a reason why they didn't want to do the new format. Yes. This is a big mistake, and it was too boring for me to tune into. So I don't know if the rest of the world was following that.
Yeah, wanted your quick take just because we had some disagreement on whether last week with Elliot, who liked the advances that Watty made for coverage, and Derek, who wasn't too quick to be impressed yet. So Shaheen, let's talk about Legacy some more. You made top 4, you said, prior to the show. Wow, congrats! You're just slaying this. Is that good?
No, I think it's a mix between Opens having a little bit easier competition and the lack of changing of Brainstorm over the last decade. I mean, I played the Brainstorm decks for forever, and even though I haven't played a couple of years in a real Legacy tournament, it was really like riding a bike. I mean, the decks aren't that different. I played against Reanimator, I played against Dredge, I played against Sneak and Show once, I played against Death and Taxes, Lands. Like, these are decks that just have been around forever, and the format doesn't change. And also, since there isn't a big pro emphasis on Legacy, there's not many tournaments that support it. The quality of opponent and deck power, strength is going to be on a little bit on the low side. There's a reason why I've been getting creamed in Standard lately, where everyone is really putting forth a lot of effort before. Or Legacy, I can kind of jump back in and find success there. So it was cool. I mean, Grixis controls a good deck, and Stoneblade's a bad deck, and I haven't played a good deck in a while, so it felt good.
There's no new cards from guilds or any, like, who's your testing group for this?
For Standard?
Sorry, for Legacy and stuff. That are there?
I haven't played. Yeah, I didn't play a match of Legacy before that day. I net decked the top 8 of the Grand Prix. I cut Liliana the Veil for the main deck. That card is horrifically bad in Legacy, and swapped it with I've been doing Click Main, and then I played a Dreadbore the sideboard. So I changed 2 cards total. No playtesting Legacy. All my playtesting really is going towards Sealed. So I'm teaming with Ely and Ben Friedman and Denver, and then we go pretty much into the Pro Tour a couple weeks after that.
All right, so let's get down to people you're actually teaming with. So you're going to be part of Team Face to Face Games. Tell us about the team. Tell us who's in it. Tell us how it came about.
So Card Hoarder kind of was splitting apart. We went different ways. Card Hoarder still supports us with loan accounts, so they're still a kind of a sub sponsor. But it's basically the old men of the crew left, and then the kids stayed behind. The kids have a bright future, though. I mean, Jack and Quinn and all those, with their mom backing them up, they're going to be great. And they got Willie helping them, their whole mentor thing going on. So, kudos to them. We just had different visions and different goals, and it was kind of we went our own different way. So it was me, Ely, and Jacob Ball and Devin Kepke left, and then we decided to create a pro team, and we started to scout around the golds. We wanted to have 6 gold players, so we picked up a couple Canadian fellows, Morgan McLaughlin and Edgar. The last name I butcher every time, but Magahawa.
I don't know. Derek needs to help me, and I say Magohanes.
There's like an accent over one of the letters, man. I don't know, man.
That's what I say. Just say Megalaeus.
Megalaeus, there we go.
Yeah. Just say it really quickly. That way, if you mess up, nobody knows.
Yeah, no one knows. Whatever. And actually, he's a cool exception too, because we actually recruited him. He wasn't gold, but he was so dedicated that we were very confident he would get gold, and he did. He grinded, about a month straight and picked up the last few points. So we had, and then we picked up Peter Ingram, who's a friend of mine, and then our final player on our team. I've been courting a few players, but there's one I've been hounding for a year straight, just in general, and that's Gabriel Nassif, who is the random Hall of Famer on our team. So he joined us after, I would say, like, begrudgingly, and he actually, he asked me, or I asked him, like, do you want to keep it kind of secret that you were kind of on the fence to join, and you were asked by Team Genesis to join, and you actually chose us over them, but there's some drama. He's like, no, talk about it. I'm gonna talk about it on my stream. And he said, I get good guy points for joining the underdog. So that's us. So, I mean, regardless of how it came to be, he's a great player, and we have a huge control presence on our team. So half our team are like dedicated control players. So it's going to be pretty cool to see. I've never actually been on a team before with a like-minded player in that sense. I've kind of just built my own deck, and no one really wanted to play it or help me refine. So I'm excited to work with Team Face to Face and have, half the squad kind of like-minded older folks that want to, that still have a little bit in them, still a little bit in the tank.
The last, it may just have been a coincidence. Like the last face-to-face game team, people were like casual fans were like, hey, there's not even Canadians on it. This one has several on it, bringing back that Canadian flavor. Shaheen, would you say that you're going to be working more with these people as opposed to like your previous teams? Because I know some teams, they're just part of this team, and they're just really individuals that gain points together, but they're not working together. Will you actually get an opportunity to work with Gabe Nassif on a potential control deck?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the one thing that sets like the teams that I've kind of stitched together, aside from a lot of other teams. A lot of teams just throw 6 players that are really good on a team and just do their own thing, like you said, and just accumulate points. No, every team I've kind of put together has been people I trust and know, and except for the Team Lingering Souls, where we just gathered everybody we could that was left over, and we all worked together extensively, played the same deck on multiple Pro Tours, and we ended up in one of the top teams in the team series, from having 2 silver players ending up with plat, a gold, and the rest or 2 of the other players qualified for the next couple Pro Tours. So I think that I won't sit by and just gather points. I don't let that happen. I kind of like, even though we have Nassif on the team, his pedigree is much higher than mine, I still like to take the captain role, because I want to make sure that we're all organized, have roles, chip in, work together. And, even this meeting, we had a meeting prior to this First Strike podcast, and we were talking about, hey, we need to make sure we're teaming together on team GPs, and we really are going to be firing all cylinders here. We're going to work together, so it's going to be cool. I'm stoked. We have a team of golds, and I've never been on a team of all golds plus a Hall of Famer. Before it's always been like silvers, just scraping by trying to get invites, but now we all have a joint mission where, hey, we're qualified for all the Pro Tours, so let's actually, make our splash here. So that's the goal. It's going to happen.
From trash that nobody wanted in Lingering Souls to actual gold to something a little bit more desirable.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet.
Yep.
I'm gonna get these guys in with our next topic. Let's jump into some guilds of Ravnica here. Derek, did you end up playing some limited, and what are your early first impressions of the set?
Yeah, I've done about 6 or 7 sealeds now, including one of the online PPTQs, and I've done 2 drafts. So far, I think that the Golgari mechanic is pretty underwhelming, and green is not one of the most powerful colors. Although in sealed, you don't always have a choice. So if you have a high synergy green deck in Selesnya or Golgari, like that's what you have to do. And you can always splash another color. The couple decks that I've gone 4-1 with were base either green, black, splash blue, or blue, black, splash red or green for some specific green, black removal spells or red removal spells. I haven't won really with a red blue deck, and I haven't won really with a straight 2-color deck. As for draft, from what I've seen, my 2 drafts were awful. I think I went 0-1 in both of them. Well, from what I've seen, Boros is very fast and very effective. And if you can pick your seat and find a good Boros deck in your spot, might be one of the best decks in the archetype. So, what I've seen so far.
What do you think about the other mechanics and the other colors?
Jumpstart's definitely powerful. The cards are just either hard to come by or they don't synergize well. The Glimmer of Genius, the new one, Chemist's Insight, I think is one that comes to mind. I really don't want to be casting that card in draft because I feel like I might just be dead by the time I can cast the second half of it. In sealed, it's very, very powerful. I think that's exactly the kind of card you want in a Dimir deck. As for Undergrowth, I think it's very hard to turn on, and the cards that actually gain value from it are pretty underwhelming, minus the Azami, or the Azani, which is the 6-mana rare. The Giant, which I think is good. The 4-mana 2/2, that when it ETBs, you get counters equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard. And then the last one, I think that's it. That's all I can remember. Mentor's cool, except for it's a combat mechanic. I don't like combat mechanics. They require too much. Surveil is very powerful. And what's the last one? Oh, Convoke. Convoke's powerful too. So I think Undergrowth is the worst. Every other one is pretty good. Surveil's probably the most powerful.
Anyway, did you get a chance to jam some limited online?
I've done about 12 sealeds, and my 5-0s are from Grixis and Sultai, and almost all of my 4-1s are from Grixis and Sultai, with the exception of like getting kind of lucky and getting to build just a 2-color Selesnya deck once. That was very good. But what I've noticed with this format is that the multicolor cards spread your pool out in such a bizarre way that sometimes you look at a pool and you have 5 green cards. You look at a pool, you have 3 red cards that are playable, or 2 red cards that are playable. It happens over and over and over again. I find that happening. So you just kind of like look at some multicolor thing you can play, see what you can fit the most playables with it, and then hope you have the guild gates for it. And then if you don't, then you might have to switch to a different 3-color combination based on your guild gates and your fixing. So it's weird because I typically have played 3 colors almost every time, and it's almost always been forced. Like I didn't have enough playables to play just 2 colors because of the multicolor cards. But I've found it relatively interesting. I like that green-black 4-mana 2/2 a lot. I think it's very good. And I think the 2-drops are actually very important in this format. So Boros really wants 2-drops because it wants to be aggressive. Selesnya wants 2-drops to Convoke. And Golgari really wants 2-drops to die so that it fuels its mechanic and just wants to kind of trade off his resources. And then the other decks kind of want 2-drops because everyone else is playing them, so you got to play them too. So it's weird that it's sort of a slow format, but everyone kind of wants to have these reasonable 2-drops in their deck, which it's a weird format. I'm not sure if it's good yet, but the sealed has at least been interesting. The games have been interesting.
Derek, did you have that same impression about the 2-drops?
Yeah, I did a lot of reading of what I think it's Andrew Brown on Twitter. He was doing this thing where he was explaining their thought process between the actual game design of the limited format, and he said that there's a lot of 1-drops and 2-drops in black and green where they wouldn't normally put that because they want them to die, or there's a lot of more pushed creatures in the Boros mechanic because they want them to go into combat and attack, and it's obviously very apparent. But I do agree with Andy that as slow of a format it is, you do sort of want a more reliable curve as a 1 through 6 compared to like start my curve at 3 and not get like clunked up. Your cards won't synergize as well together that way.
All right, so early impressions for people to think about heading into GP Montreal this weekend. Any last pieces of advice, Andy?
I don't think the lockets are very good. I have only played them if it's facilitating my third color in a way that I really need it. Otherwise, I would not play a locket. You just kind of would rather have any reasonable creature, even bad creatures.
Alrighty. Well, we have Shaheen on. Let's get Andy. Let's get your list. We got a top 5 list and see if Shaheen agrees of cards that were bad or not playable that might be better now in new constructed formats. Let's hear your top 5 list, Andy. Let's go. Let's go with number 5.
All right. So, I did not put them in an order. So the only weird thing is that some of these cards are going to be playable, but they weren't tier 1. So the first thing is that I have a little grouping of History, Benalia, and Knight of Grace. While History, Benalia, a phenomenal card, just didn't have a lot of decks that utilize it in Standard, and now there's a million History of Benalia decks and a million Knight of Grace decks. And sometimes you'll even see Knight of Grace without History, but you'll typically see History with Knight of Grace. So I think that card got a huge jump in its stock. Like, it is obviously one of the most powerful cards, but now, like, everything else is dumbed down to a bit where it's actually, like, a little bit better than everything else.
Okay, I think we've got some nod in agreement. Let's go to the next one.
All right, so this card is a very good card, but didn't get played just like these ones. Vraska Relic Seeker. So it went from being like not played that often, but like a good card, but the decks just didn't facilitate it being played very much. And now it's like maybe the best Planeswalker in the format, if not very close. But don't give me that. Teferi decks suck.
Get out of here.
It's my favorite card. Those decks are all bad.
I'll tell you something though. I think Teferi decks are tough to play. I think the mana for all of them are atrocious. But cards like that, people will find a way. People will find a way to play a card that's on a power level 11 out of 10, even if it means playing a clown crew of supporting cards to go with it. I mean, I think the blue-white deck, like Jim Davis posted, is unplayable. It's just like it's all conditional removal of like tapped creatures or attacking creatures. And I think that blue-white of old, of the old format died off because of the predictability of removal and how easily aggressive decks can play around it. And you're weak against decks that you should be stomping. So, I mean, Vraska is insane. Like, that card's a fantastic Planeswalker, and I agree, it did rise in stock. It also helps that the new Vraska is unplayable in its own sense. I don't know. I've seen hype for that, the new Vraska, the 4-mana one from the new set, and I did that. That's like around Tybalt for me, man. That card is so bad. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think that 6-mana one is really good.
Yeah, my problem with Teferi decks is either, like you said, you have the conditional removal, or you have the condition of you might not cast any of your spells.
Yeah, so I mean, I posted an Esper list in the Fact or Fiction coming out tomorrow on SCG, so if you guys can tune in and your listeners and check it out. Not Fact or Fiction. What would I play in Columbus? So I posted my updated Esper list, and it really is a blue-black mana base with the fingers crossed to get a white. I mean, that's just the way you have to play it. You have to play blue-black, and then just pray you hit a white mana. And I have, 8 check lands that go with it, and I'm playing 1 Plains and 1 Field of Ruin, and you just got to be like, I hope this can do it. I mean, and you have till turn 5. Statistically, 9 white sources will give you a white on turn 4, but it's still iffy at best, and the mana is not smooth. It was the smoothest could be prior to rotation, but the mana, you are paying the price for playing a control deck in this format.
Yeah, I agree with you on all of that. So the next I have is the 2 Explore creatures, the Merfolk Branchwalker and Jadelight Ranger. I actually thought they were very bad in the last format, And I actually think they're pretty playable now. So now we have like some graveyard mechanics going around in the green decks, and then the green decks also need these 2 and 3 drops, and there's not a lot of options available, like for the green-black decks and the Abzan decks of the world that kind of want to hit all their land drops, and it sort of pseudo fixes your mana in an ugly way. So I think these cards have went up in stock quite a bit.
I dig it. I think you're right. Right. People like the Borderline Ranger. I don't know if Jade, because Jade Light Ranger kind of takes that spot. You can't play both those cards, so it really comes down to which one of those are better. I mean, I think I play the rare over the common. You have way more upside of a giant creature and hitting a land drop. I don't know if it was Jerry. Somebody wrote an article on SCG that said that the Borderline Ranger is just always the card that the format yearns for, and it takes the randomness out of it. But I think it's worth the gamble for the Explorer effect.
People do know that Skittering Surveyor was in the last format, right? And nobody played it. It just didn't have another power, and it was colorless, and nobody played it.
Good point.
The Borderline Ranger in this format's awful. I never want to play that card when my opponent plays a Chain Whirler on turn 3. You know what I mean? It's what's going on?
One more power, just maybe. No, I'm off. I mean, I wouldn't. It's not in my wheelhouse, so I don't know. You have to ask people that played Borderline Ranger back in the day.
I agree. Borderline Ranger may have been good back in the day, but now, did we forget Chain Whirler existed? Come on, people. Let's get it together here.
Another reason to play Teferi decks. They don't care about that card. There you go.
All right. Speaking of forgetting Chain Whirler existed, my next card, Elvish Rejuvenator. So that card actually went from unplayable to showing up in a bunch of people's decks. And I always thought it was a card that was very close in power level. What are you going to say, Sheen?
What Elvish Rejuvenator? What's it? Is that
what is that card?
You're better off not knowing.
2 and a green for a 1/1. Look at when it enters the battlefield. Look at your top 5. Put any land onto the battlefield tapped from that top 5. So it's showing up in Jerry played it on stream a bunch today. It's showing up. Brad Nelson played it today in his Fog deck. I don't think Fog's good, but it's showing up. And this card was stone unplayable before, and now it's showing up. So I think that alone. It deserves a second look. I actually think it's pretty close in power level to being playable. It ramps, right? And the odds at hit are very high.
It's better than Borderline Ranger, too. It's good. Puts into play. It's got to be better.
All right. And my number 1 card is Resplendent Angel. So that card was very bad, never played. And now there's a Boros Angels deck that's popping around, and some mid-range Boros decks, and this card's pretty good in those decks. Alongside the whatever Aurelia and then Lyra, you can just play 3 to 4 of all of those, and then all aggro decks have a really hard time matching up with that and the History of Benalia and stuff like that. And I think that card's going to end up being pretty good.
I think that card is busted with the amount of the text on that card is just waiting for one little push to be obscene, because 3 mana for 3/3 flyer is already a fine of cost, and then the upside is game ending. I mean, just a must kill in the late game. I bought 4 when it came out, even just because I really wanted to abuse it. And you look at the life gain that was in the format, and it was kind of low. I didn't know if Lyra was going to be enough, but now just those 2 cards have incidental, like you said, incidental win percentage against aggressive decks, because they just can't they flat out can't beat the 5 toughness Angels, or when you untap with 6 mana with that creature, it's over. So I'm excited. I hope that deck is great. I mean, or a deck that uses those cards. And I know when Azorius comes out next, with the next set, is probably going to really give it a boost if they follow the flavor that way. But I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I played that deck a bunch today, or I played it through 1 league, and it felt very powerful. And it felt really weird to play the Deafening Clarion in your main deck of your deck full of a bunch of creatures that die to it, but I kept winning anyway because I kept either wrathing them more than me or giving all my creatures lifelink and then can't lose the race. I did pretty well. I only lost to green white with Stubhorn, Sentry, and the new elephant lady.
Nice.
Derek, you got any hot takes?
I was gonna, yeah, I was gonna ask you guys about your opinion on a card. Taking KYT's thunder here, but like, there's a card that I'm obsessed with that I think is just being slept on, and it's Notion Rain. I mean, maybe is control that bad where I've been playing this card and playtesting, and I'm just like, read the bonesing on steroids, and it's just so good with Vraska's Contempt and the Moment of Craving, and you're able to offset life loss, and I just love the card. I just don't know. I'm kind of upset and hurt inside just by the amount of hate the card's getting, to be honest. I'm like, trust me, play the card. It's very good. It's a very good card.
Yeah, it's a powerful card, but I think control's not very good right now, and like you can't afford to take the turn off and the life loss against a lot of the decks that are currently in the format. With even with the life gain of the other cards, you just can't afford to take the turn off just to get a card ahead, and then to smooth your draw out a bit. But
in the way I kind of discuss that card is that it seems like old Read the Bones, you have to take the turn off most of the time. With this card, it kind of doesn't play out that way. When you have like Search of Escanta and you have the 2-mana discarded card Surveil, and you're hitting land drops that way, but continuously being proactive in the tap out style, it's been for me way more often than not. I'm on 4 lands, turn 5, and I cast it to hit my 5th land, 2nd land untapped and interact. Very, very rarely am I doing it on turn 3, only in very desperate times. So the card's actually kind of been a 5-cost card for me. And every card prior to it are either cast downs, Moment of Craving, the Hand Disruption spell, or the Destroy Legend for 2 less, depending on what their draw is. And then you kind of like finish off with that. So you're right. You can't build a deck with 4 Essence Scatter, 4 Syncopate, and then just like turn 3 tap out and then let them play 1 or 2 threats on you. You're going to get massacred. But the other way, it's been pretty good. And you just don't, even when people are obsessed with Chemistry's Insight, which is it's a great card, but it's 8 mana over multiple turns, and it's not Glimmer of Genius. And a lot of people were saying it's better. It's going to be better. It's not.
Yeah, it didn't take a lot of playing with that card to realize it is much worse than both of the last 2 draw 2s.
It's saddening. I'm like, man, this is not better than Glimmer of Genius. No, you're right. It's been worse than it's not the worst that's been printed, but it's far from it's. You don't hit land drops, so that's the big thing. Like you're on turn 4, and you use it, and you brick on land and die. Like it's not like Glimmer where that doesn't really occur.
Or Illumination where you could cash it in like a little early. It's just worse than both.
Yep, agreed. Saddening. So give Notion. Well, once you realize how great control is in this format, give Notion Rain a try and get back to me on it.
Disinformation Campaign is like the card that I fell in love with the most when I saw it. I want it to be good so bad, but I don't think it is that good. But holy moly, do I want it to be good?
Oh God, and sealed is disgusting.
Oh, it's unbeatable. It's unbeatable and limited.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't interact with it almost at all.
It's got so much card advantage tied to it. It's a card that if there wasn't like a Nightvale Spectre in the format, it could be a sideboard consideration for the mirror. But the Nightvale Spectre is as good as it looks on paper. Control's great. Mana sucks. Get lucky. That's it. Just get lucky. Get your blue-black early and get your white, and everything's good. No problems.
Derek, what was the one card on your list when you were putting it together?
It was Demanding Dragon, and then I thought of a couple other ones, but Andy, you were going to say something?
What does that card do?
It's a 5-mana 5/5 that when it ETBs, your opponent sacrifices a creature or they take 5.
Well, I'll never disrespect a Punisher card again after how good that
Risk
new one has
factor's
looked.
been?
Holy
risk,
crap!
Risk
it's good.
factors. Oh, spicy. It's a tasty boy.
It is. When I first saw it, I would have stone said it was bad, and then I played against it, and it's just.
I
instant
snapped
speed
said it was
3.
bad. I said it was bad to like 70 people the other day. And then I was playing it today, and I was just crushing people. And somebody comes in and goes, "Didn't you say this deck was really bad? And the 4-mana enchantment was a do-nothing enchantment?" I'm like, I did say that. I was very wrong.
That enchantment is absolutely nuts.
Sometimes it's awful. I've lost a game where I played it on turn 6, and I just lost the game in 2 turns. And then there's been games where I played on turn 4, and I went on turn 5. I just played 5 spells off the top of my library.
Yeah, I have seen it just be like draw 9 in 3 turns. It's so good.
Yeah. I also think Ravenous Chupacabra went up. I think that card's good. If you're playing that stupid 3-mana Angel, I'm jamming these Chupacabras straight into the battlefield, and they're hungry. So I don't think those Angels are getting much better than a 3-mana Lightning Strike target.
You can't kill it all, Derek. You can't kill it all.
Listen, if you have it all, like show me. Just show me.
Yeah, once I saw instant on Risk Factor, we did that was the Factor Fiction we did a couple days ago. It was me, Sam Black, and Ari Locks. And Ari and Sam said it was awful, and I said, fact, nope, card is busted. It's an instant. It's the best Punisher card ever made. It's going to make me cry.
I agree. The best Punisher card ever made. It's unbelievable.
If Browbeat was an instant and you were able to end a turn, draw the 3 cards, then to proceed to deal thousands of damage, it would have been better back then. It would have been playable. This card is that, but even better. It's
just the biggest nightmare I could imagine for a control deck.
Oh yeah.
People also don't play it properly. People will like take 4 damage when they should let me draw 3. Or they'll let me draw 3 when they should take 4 damage. And I'm not saying that's something that happens frequently or that's a point to play this card. But if you're playing a card that's already powerful and people are playing it incorrectly against you, it makes it better. Like, this card's so much better than I thought it was. Like, I thought it was a 2. It's like a 7. It makes this red deck good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was excited to talk about how much this card's stock went up so fast. I played against it once, and I was like, oh, I can't win. Okay, draw 3. Okay, draw 3 more. Then I died.
You're at low life. They're drawing 6 cards. It's disgusting. I mean, I played against it from the sideboard of the aggressive decks. I haven't played against a mono red deck yet in standard. But like, it's even in the Boros decks and the creature decks, it's like, God. I'm at like 3 life. All right. You have no option. You just draw your whole deck. Go ahead. You know what card I'm sad about while we're talking about red cards? Lava Coil. Man, that's such a good removal spell for control decks. There are 2 red decks or 2 red cards in standard. Because Grixis has the best control shell for mana, but literally 2 playable red cards in that shell. It's so frustrating. Like, it used to have like Hour of Devastation and other things, but if people don't know, Lava Coil is the 4 damage for 2 mana exile removal spell. I saw that print and I'm like, come on, baby, give me some more red cards. Let's get this Grixis going. And not one more red card for control decks. Sad times. Did anyone else sad about that, or that's just me? That's just a me thing. Okay. Right.
I'm a little sad because it's a super powerful card. And it's just not really going to get played because none of the decks that are red want it.
Oh yeah,
and it's so good.
Zero play. It's so good.
Lava Coil?
Yeah.
It straight up cleanly kills a Phoenix.
Bird.
So like, if Mono Red's the most played deck, you might see a couple sneaking into the main deck. And then, like, if the 5/4 green deck gets played a lot, it's going to be killing those. It kills Tristani. I don't know. It's a spicy one. You guys are sleeping on this card.
No,
I hope so. We think it's good.
It won't be in. The problem is the red decks right now, the best red decks in standard, are so quick and aggressive that and Lightning Strike can clear the earliest stuff that I don't know if they're going to have the luxury of playing a sorcery speed removal spell that doesn't translate to damage sometimes. I mean, it might, just like red black kind of evolved into kind of a mid-rangey slow deck and then wanted 4 braids, but I can't see mono like the red decks right now playing more than like 1 of this card or 0 maybe in the sideboard.
I have 4 in my sideboard right now.
Yeah, it's a good sideboard card.
It's probably a lot. I also like am sideboarding into the mid-rangey, sort of like cut all my X1s, cut my 1-drops, bring in 8 to 12 removal spells, and like just try to do that to my opponent and hope that they don't hit Frenzy before I do. And I feel like if a lot of people are expecting the red deck, then that's also going to be happening. I think one of the best ways to beat the red deck is the green deck, or like Andy said earlier, the white deck. So I think bringing in a lot of lava coils and fight with fires are one of the best ways to beat those decks also. People are really high on Lyra.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. It competes with fight with fire. You can't play that many. You can't play any of them really main. But your sideboard, you have to have the perfect balance of those 2 cards because you can't beat Lyra and this misses Lyra. So it's tough. That's a tough spot to be in with this card.
Wow, that's a lot of knowledge. Anything you wanted to add before we have to let you go? We're so happy that we've had you for about 40 minutes. But anything else, my man?
No, I mean, as always, appreciate the invite, and I love you guys. So whenever I can free myself from other responsibilities, I'm always happy to join. I want to just magic-wise, just give one more shout out to Team Face to Face Games.com, getting our launch soon. Jerseys and gear on the way, so you'll see us in the new look. By the Pro Tour, of course, but hopefully before then. And we'll make sure to be high on social media, have a good presence on there so you guys can, take a look and we can all work like a big happy family, everyone getting along and loving each other, right? Beside that, Teferi, I'm going to go out on this because, just my clientele that's here, is the card that I think is still leagues above the rest of standard and power level, but the castability of the card is really the puzzle. So I really am going to be spending endless hours throughout the night and day trying to make it work. But I'm with Andrew here and everyone else that's tried. The mana is really atrocious. So I'll be looking. If you guys listening have any suggestions for that, please hit me up because I'm at like a 50% win rate right now. It's unacceptable with Teferi. It's embarrassing. So that's what I want to go out on. Help me out.
All right. Thank you so much, Shaheen. And then we can, as always, follow you on Twitter at ShaheenMTG or something.
At ShaheenMTG. I'm weekly. Writing weekly on Start City now, Friday column. I'm volunteering for every Fact or Fiction or What Will We Play, so just keep an eye out. I'm going to get more involved in the game as we move forward here from the digital side. Less in person, more from this side of the aisle here. So, come read the articles, see me on social media. I respond always on social media, so hit me up and I can answer any questions and get back to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Shaheen. We'll catch you on, as always, in a few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Something.
I'll be on tomorrow. I'll see you guys then.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
We'll see those guys competing on the PT very soon. Man, here we are, boys.
What a time to be alive. New standard.
Good time.
It's lovely. So many people play bad decks, myself included. And honestly, I love New Standard. New Standard after large rotation is got to be my favorite time to play Magic because I like Standard much more than I like Modern because Modern is not fun for competitive play. But Standard, there's just there's a lot of deck building that goes into it, and things don't spiral out of control as fast as they do on Modern. Like if you miss your 4th land in Modern, you're just dead. Or like if you brick the exact card you need against a matchup, you're dead. But in Standard, there's some leeway. There's some time to play your goddamn game of Magic.
I hate this new Standard format. I think it's stupid.
I assume you only hate it because there isn't a deck that's leagues ahead of the rest yet.
Yes. And mostly because I don't know if there will be. From what I've seen so far, every deck has a series of good threats and then a series of good answers. And if they line up well, then whoever has the threat that sticks around more or the more resilient threat wins. And I haven't found a good series of threats that beat specific answers. Like in old Standard, we had Scrap Heap Scrounger. You needed to play Magma Spray to beat that. If you wanted to beat Chandra or Glorybringer, you had to play Chandra's Defeat. In this format, there's Feral, the 6/6 with Hexproof. That card's unbeatable. But if you want to beat it, you just play Assassin's Trophy, or you counter it, or you Vraska's Contempt it, and then it's like, okay, if you want to beat Teferi, it's the same thing. It's like you can attack it, or the rest of the deck's pretty bad, so you can probably just beat the deck before Teferi comes down. And it's like mono red. It's like if you can get past turn 4, the cards are just generally not as powerful as yours. So you just play a 6/6 on turn 4. Mono red normally can't beat that. So to me, it's like this huge rock, paper, scissors, and I just hate it. I just want there to be a best deck, and I want to play it.
I've been actually really liked on paper the Boros Angels deck, and I snap bought all the cards for it to play, and I think it's very good. I think it does a good job of having a nut draw that aggro decks just have zero chance to beat, and then it also has this fallback card of Deafening Clarion that a lot of the aggro decks can't do well against. And Aurelia being a 2/5 and Vigilance essentially just dodges a lot of the removal in the format. It can't get sealed away. It doesn't die to cast down. And honestly, I think the card's very good. And I think the Boros Angels deck has been the most success I've had so far in the Standard format. And the only round I lost, I got absolutely nut drew by a deck with the Loxodon to put counters on everything, and they just had a bunch of 5/5s on turn 4 or whatever. So I think that deck's the real deal, and it's certainly what I'm going to be working on for a bit until I think it's bad, which who knows how long until the process that'll happen.
Yeah, I definitely think that deck is good. I just the white splash for me is just not worth it.
This deck's like almost mono white, Derek.
Maybe we're not talking about the same deck.
Yeah, this deck plays 4 Adanto Vanguard, 4 Knight of Grace, 4 History of Benalia, 4 of that Angel, 4 Lightning Strike,
Okay.
3 Aurelia, 3 Shalai, 4 Lyra Dawnbringer.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't sound very good. Yeah.
It slaughters aggro decks. And 3 Deafening Clarion.
What if I just want to play removal spells?
It has History of Benalia and Adanto Vanguard. 2 of the best cards against removal spell decks.
Okay. We'll see.
I don't even know what to say to you. You're like, you can't play creatures because they'll die someday.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't like playing bad cards, like Aurelia.
You have to draw so many of your premium removal spells in a game to beat this deck.
Just go upstairs. Pew pew.
You have 4 Lyra Dawnbringer and a bunch of Angels.
You know that card's legendary, right?
If one lives, you're dead. You're dead, kid.
Okay. All right. Time to play some mid-range.
But then you can't beat Adanto Vanguard and History of Benalia.
I'm sure I can figure it a way.
You can't, Derek. The deck's good. Not everything's bad, you buffoon.
Okay. All right.
Neither of you got really deep into Arena, right? So the whole reset thing, closed beta, everything didn't affect either of you guys.
I never played a lot of Arena, but there's people who I know who are playing Arena who have never played Arena before, and they're all saying it's doing good. Like it's
Yeah.
on the up and up. It's a lot of positive things being said about Arena right now.
I've heard a lot of good things about Arena. Wizards is really, really shelling out all the money to make sure that all the Hearthstone streamers and stuff are coming over to the Magic side, including Reynad.
Yeah, Magic's been like up there for view counts because of all these sponsored streamers. I think that is a very good thing to do. Obviously, Reynad, not an ideal choice from my point of view, but whatever it takes to make Magic better. No, I don't actually agree with that. I wish they just didn't do Reynad and kept with like the people who are great from the other games, but they're doing the right things for the most part.
Anything else you guys want to add? Like any special prep you are doing for this weekend, guys?
I just did like I said, 12 seals for GP Montreal. I'm going to be there early. Going to play some side events with my Boros Angels deck. And I don't know, go home with a whole bunch of booster boxes.
Nah, I'm not gonna do. I might do a couple more seals. Probably gonna read a bunch. I hope they just make it into day 2 and then spike a couple drafts. That's the game plan. Yeah.
Has any of your top 5s changed yet, or we're pretty stable for now?
I'm so sorry about Ionize.
I don't even remember what my top 5 were, but Ionize was unplayable and I was right. So 1 for me and 0 for Andy.
Yeah, Ionize didn't end up being that good. I played a Jeskai control deck today and it wasn't great. I don't think control decks are playable right now.
Oh, so an early L for Ionize. An early L.
L for Ionize. Faux show. Also, maybe an L for Chemister's Insight. It's been bad in my experience as well. I just wish it was Risk Factor. I wish I had the foresight to understand that card better.
I mean, I still think Chemistry Insight's good, and I don't know if it should be in a control deck, but it may find a home in a mid-range deck because that ability is good. But then again, like Notion Rain is like so much better.
So much mana. I think it's actually just going to be not good, but people will play it anyway the whole time. It's in standard.
That's what I love. I love it when people do that.
Alrighty, for Andy, Derek, and myself, we will see you next week after GP Montreal, and good luck to everyone competing, and we'll see some of you there, and ciao. See you next episode.